Welcome to Season 2, Episode 7 of the podcast Ghosts, Demons, and Murder. Oh my. My name is Hayden Crook, and I will be your host for today's episode on the Greenbrier Bunker. And just before I jump into the episode, just some background context. I spent some time in West Virginia, Kentucky, and Virginia from 2015 to 2017. I absolutely loved the area, the food, the people. This July will be the 9-year anniversary since I entered Appalachia and the 7-year anniversary since I left the kudzu covered hills of West Virginia. Apparently, when I was staying in Oak Hill, West Virginia, I was only an hour and a half away from the Greenbrier Bunker, which is the subject of today's episode. So I just wanted to include that. Um, that area, Appalachia, West Virginia, Kentucky, Virginia. Those places are always going to hold a special place in my heart because I spent some time over there with the culture, people. It was a good time. I really enjoyed it. So this episode, um, yeah, I just wanted to kind of do a tribute to that area since it's kind of coming up on the anniversary. I know we're still about a month away or so from that, but I just wanted to do this early on. So the first source is is the Retrospect Journal via Sam Marks. That's the author of this article. It says the surface level construction complexes seem to counter the stress of the Cold War, while the below ground building um, validated the existence of that stress. To counter the potentiality, yeah, of nuclear fire raining down from the sky, the US government created a contingency plan for its own survival. It was codenamed Project Greek Island, a massive underground nuclear bunker beneath the Greenbrier Hotel in West Virginia. Unlike the simple style that popularized modern suburban decor, the Greenbrier was immaculate. Its classical revivalist architecture saw columns adorn the entranceway and red carpets draped across the flooring. Six-course dinners were customary, and limousines lined the driveways. Originally constructed in 1858, the resort was built near Sulphur White Springs, with its owner believing that bathing in mineral waters could relieve chronic conditions. A popular view shared by the local Native American tribe, known as the Old White at the time, due to its white-colored exterior. The hotel changed hands between the two sides of the Civil War and often served as a strategic and symbolic point of contention. The end of the Civil War in 1865 saw the resort reopened for commercial use, attracting both Southern and Northern vacationers. Multiple post-Civil War reconciliations were conducted on the Greenbrier's grounds, providing the newly built hotel with diplomatic importance from its creation. In 1869, a railroad line arrived where the resort was located, increasing the popularity and accessibility of the location. In 1910, the Chesapeake and Ohio Railway, C&O, purchased the property, providing it with a series of upgrades. A central building with 250 rooms and an 18-hole golf course allowed the hotel to operate on a year-long schedule rather than being exclusively a summertime destination. The Grand Central rebranded itself as the Greenbrier, naming itself after a neighboring county. In the 1940s, the C&O hired interior decorator Dorothy Draper, known for her anti-minimalist design choices. Following its redecoration, the Greenbrier reopened in 1948 and attracted a wide range of interest from both the U.S. and abroad. From Bing Crosby to Edward VIII, Duke of Windsor, big-name clientele were notable guests of this establishment. A total of 26 U.S. presidents have stayed at the resort, and it has hosted visiting diplomats from a plethora of countries due to its proximity to the national capital, Washington, D.C. That convenient location was noted during World War II when the U.S. detained Axis power diplomats at the Greenbrier from 1941 to 1942. With Project Greek Island, the Greenbrier's usefulness came into focus again following the end of the Second World War. The U.S. government struck a deal with the Greenbrier to build a bunker beneath the grounds of the hotel. The bunker was built from 1959 to 1962 alongside an above-ground addition to the hotel. The West Virginia wing was built in an effort to disguise any construction occurring below ground. The U.S. government set up a dummy company by the name of the Forsyth Associates. Government workers posed as hotel employees while building the Doomsday Shelter and then maintained its good condition. 4 entranceways were covered by fake walls, the door of which measured 19.5 inches thick and led to hallways with 2-foot thick walls, capable of withstanding a nearby nuclear blast. Buried 720 feet beneath the surface, the emergency refuge was outfitted with several amenities. Rows of bunk beds ran throughout the 18 dormitories, each capable of housing 60 people, totaling a capacity of 1,080, enough for every congressman, senator, and 1 staff member with each of them. But the bunker did not provide space for the families of its would-be inhabitants. A 400-seat cafeteria was built near a kitchen that had its food restocked every 6 months by government maintenance workers. The facility even included a pathological waste incinerator, a scientific name for a crematorium, that would be used in the event of the death of an inhabitant. But unlike the suburbs above ground, there was no ability for Congress to have separate areas for work life and home life in the emergency shelter. 3 chambers were constructed so Congress could still function as the legislative branch of the American government. 2 chambers for the House and Senate, respectively, were joined by the exhibit hall, 89 by 186 feet, and 20 feet high, which had a large enough capacity to hold a joint session of Congress, 535 voting members in total. The chambers were modeled after the Capitol building and similar to the structure of Congress as a body for the deliberation of laws. What was new, however, was how members of Congress could inform the public of their activities. The facility housed a large broadcast apparatus that allowed Congress to communicate to whoever may be left alive on American soil. Changeable seasonal backdrops of Washington, D.C. were included to achieve the irreplaceable federal sentiment the city offered. A broadcast tower was set up near the bunker site to transmit signals across the country. Despite all the time, money, and effort devoted to building the bunker, it was never actually used. The closest the bunker ever came to being fully activated was during the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962. However, the diplomacy that solved the issue saw the climax of the Cold War pass, and the threat of annihilation never emerged to such a degree again. Having no reason to activate the project, the bunker stayed dormant but readily equipped to welcome Congress. But some members of Congress themselves had their doubts about the plan, even if it did occur. Former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tip O'Neill, said he had never put much credence in it, to tell you the truth, and found the excavation plan far-fetched. O'Neill, as well as other members of Congress and cabinet members, also voiced their personal opposition to the plan upon finding out they would be unable to take their families with them. Project Greek Island remained classified until 1992, when Washington Post reporter Ted Gupp broke the story that revealed its existence to the public. The Cold War having ended and the U.S. government having no strong reason to keep the story under wraps, immediately declassified the bunker. Once the subject of hotel staff rumors, the bunker's existence was suddenly confirmed in the public domain. Since then, the Greenbrier has made use of the colossal structure to boost its already widely recognized name. Parts of the sites are used as a data storage facility, while others are open to the public as a tourist attraction known as the Bunker. Even after being declassified and opened for tourism, pictures are prohibited within the bunker. While Project Greek Island has gained some stardom out of the declassification, the serious nature of fallout shelters has remained present even after the Cold War. Throughout the U.S., various bunkers or mountain complexes are active or on standby for various government functions in times of emergency. Switzerland, being more forward-thinking, is currently the only country in the world that has the means to house its entire population in nuclear bunkers. But while you might want to visit the declassified facility at the Greenbrier, you must not welcome the circumstances that might force you to live there. Source 2 is the Atomic Heritage Foundation. And this is just more of the backstory about the construction and that kind of stuff, the costs. 1955. Dwight D. Eisenhower instructed the Department of Defense to draft emergency plans for Congress in case of nuclear strike. Even if Washington, D.C. was destroyed, American officials needed a procedure to maintain the continuity of government. As part of these efforts, the Army Corps of Engineers was charged with scouting the location of a nuclear bunker for the members of Congress. They ultimately selected the Greenbrier, a luxury resort in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. Greenbrier was chosen because of its location, relatively close and accessible to Washington, but far enough away to be safe from an atomic bomb. And because of its prior relationship with the United States government during World War II, the Greenbrier had served as an internment facility for Japanese, Italian, and German diplomats, and then as a military hospital where Eisenhower himself was at one time a patient. Although it returned to its original function as a hotel after the war, government officials occasionally held conferences at Greenbrier. Construction on the bunker began in 1957. Government officials tried to hide the secret project by announcing the construction of Greenbrier's West Virginia wing. Construction workers and locals were suspicious, however, particularly about the sheer volume of concrete that was poured for the project. As construction worker Randy Wickline recalled, nobody came out and said it was a bomb shelter, but they weren't building it to keep the rain off them. I mean, a fool would have known. Truman Wright, the manager of the Greenbrier Resort from 1951 to 1974, likewise remembered a contractor asking, this is an exhibit hall? We've got 110 urinals we just installed. What in the hell are you going to exhibit? The $14 million project was completed on October 16th, 1962, just before the start of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Originally codenamed Project X, the bunker was also known as Project Casper, and during the 1980s as Project Green Island. The Greenbrier Bunker is buried 720 feet underground. It would not survive a direct nuclear strike, but is capable of weathering a blast 15 to 30 miles away and protecting its occupants from fallout. The two-level facility is 112,544 square feet, roughly the size of 2 football fields on top of one another. The bunker has 4 doors, all made by the Ohio-based Mosler Safe Company and shipped to Greenbrier by railway. The 2 largest, known as GH1 and GH3, and weighing 28 and 20 tons respectively, require 50 pounds of force to open. Once sealed, the bunker would have had enough air to last 72 hours, after which a ventilation system would filter air from the outside. Although most of the bunker was a closely guarded secret, its largest halls intended for sessions of Congress were actually part of the Greenbrier Hotel and would have been sealed off only in the event of an attack. The largest exhibit hall was designed to host joint sessions of Congress. A Greenbrier brochure from the 1960s advertised the hall to guests. The floor is finished with a beautiful plastic terrazzo designed to support unlimited weight. Just off of exhibit hall are 2 smaller auditoriums, the 440-seat Governor's Hall, intended for the House of Representatives, and the 130-seat Mountaineer Room, which would have hosted members of the Senate. A hidden passage, marked by a door, retreats danger, high voltage, keep out, leads to the rest of the bunker. In the event of an attack, congressmen would have first been ushered to the decontamination room, where they would have stripped, showered, and put on uncontaminated clothes. The dormitories consist of 18 rooms, each built to house 60 people in metal bunk beds. There's also a kitchen and a 400-seat cafeteria, which at one point was decorated with fake windows featuring scenic views. The upper level contains storage space and offices for congressional leaders. Among other interesting features, the bunker's power room includes a pathological waste incinerator designed to cremate bodies. The Congressional Record Room, in addition to holding files, houses the only weapons in the facility, a relatively modest collection of rifles, pistols, nightsticks, and helmets, essentially riot gear. The bunker also has a hospital, operating room, and pharmacy, which once kept a plentiful supply of antidepressants. According to journalist Paul Lieberman, the bunker maintained a tiny jail with 2 boxes of straitjackets, just in case congressmen went bonkers. Perhaps the most interesting feature of the bunker is the vast television, radio, and communication facilities. In the event of an attack, congressmen would have been expected to give speeches broadcast to whatever was left of the American population. The TV conference room even includes a backdrop of the Capitol building, giving the illusion of normalcy. After its construction, the Greenbrier Bunker was maintained by 12 to 15 permanent government employees who worked undercover as members of an Arlington-based television repair company called Forsyth Associates. According to Paul Fritz Bugus, the former superintendent of the bunker, the government workers at Greenbrier spent about 20% of their time doing TV work for the hotel, with the remainder devoted to bunker maintenance. Among other supplies, the bunker was provided with enough food for 1,000 people to last 60 days. Government employees also had to constantly update their plans based on who the current members of Congress were. For 30 years, every one of these 1,100 beds was assigned to somebody, explained Greenbrier historian Bob Conte. Conte, yeah. For that 30 years, you had to make sure all the filters were changed, all the pharmaceuticals were up to date, and all the food was ready to go. The actual procedure for bringing congressmen to the bunker remains somewhat unclear. Greenbrier is a 5-hour drive or a 1-hour flight. The local airport was expanded in 1962 from Washington, so it would have required advanced warning of an attack to bring all 535 members of Congress. Almost no members were aware that the bunker existed, only the leadership was ever briefed. Former Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill, recalled, "I never mentioned the evacuation plan to anybody. But every time I went down to the Greenbrier, I always used to look up the hill and say, well, that's where we're supposed to live in the event something happens. And that's where we're going to do business, maybe under the tennis courts." There remains some ambiguity on whether congressmen would have been allowed to bring their families to the bunker. O'Neill recalled being told that he could not bring his family, commenting, "I kind of lost interest in it when they told me my wife would not be going with me." Paul Fritz Bugus, however, maintained that there were plans to expand bunker facilities in order to accommodate families, although it is unclear if or when this project ever occurred. The bunker remained a closely guarded secret until 1992, when Washington Post reporter Ted Gupp revealed its existence in his article, "The Ultimate Congressional Hideaway." Given that its secure location was one of the primary guarantees for its defense, the bunker was quickly decommissioned. Bugus was critical of the article, explaining, "We felt a disservice had been done. I'm not talking to us personally, but to our country's security." Gupp, however, argued that by 1992 the bunker was essentially obsolete. The bunker was built when bombers took hours to go over the polar ice caps. The warning time was many hours. We're now talking minutes, if not less. In 1995, the Greenbrier Resort began offering tours of the bunker to its guests. In 2006, the tours were expanded to the general public. Tours are still offered today, but no cameras are allowed inside the bunker. There is speculation that the US government has built a new bunker for Congress since the existence of the Greenbrier Bunker was revealed in 1992. If there is such a bunker, very few people know about it. As Bill Arkin of the Washington Post commented, "If you're a normal member of Congress, my guess is that you know nothing. You really know nothing." Water break real quick. Source 3 is the Smithsonian Magazine via Emily Matcher. She's the author of this article. Tricia Parker, a lifelong resident of western Greenbrier County, says, "The bunker was the definition of an open secret. People wondered about it to their husband, their wife, their brother, but they weren't going to wonder about it to anyone else," she says. "They just didn't talk about it to outsiders." Let's see. In 1962, the year of the Cuban Missile Crisis, at this point in the conflict, ordinary Americans viscerally feared the threat of Soviet attack. People built bomb shelters in their backyards and stockpiled Spam and Geiger counters. Elementary school students practiced duck and cover drills. "What are you supposed to do when you see the flash?" asked Bert the Turtle in a popular civil defense film strip. "Duck and cover," the children shouted, curled up turtle-like under their desks. World War II, with its loose lips, sink ships posters, wasn't long in the rearview mirror. "People were afraid," says Trish, who now works part-time at the Greenbrier, giving public tours of the bunker facility. "They didn't want to know too much." In Greenbrier County, the secrecy runs deeper than the Cold War. The Greenbrier was and still is by far the biggest employer in the area. Multiple generations of families worked there, often for life. This bred a sense of loyalty and fear of losing the only good job you could likely get nearby. Their father worked there, their grandfather worked there, they worked there, their children were going to work there, says Trish. There was a feeling that what was good for the Greenbrier was good for Greenbrier County. It was a family thing, says Christy Parker, no relation to Trish, whose great grandmother started working at the Greenbrier as a young widow in the late 1800s. Christy grew up in White Sulphur Springs, became a fourth generation employee after college, eventually working her way up to conference services manager, organizing massive corporate expos at the resort. I never went past that magical door, she says, referring to the blast door that divided the Greenbrier's public area from the bunker, which was hidden in plain sight behind floral wallpaper. Peggy Boso, a retired teacher from White Sulphur Springs, used to babysit at the hotel. One night, just after the bunker was revealed in 1992, she babysat a senator's children. The senator asked her if anyone in town had known the secret. I said basically yes, but nobody ever talked about it because it was a way of putting food on the table, Boso recalls. Loyalty and discretion didn't always keep children from talking, though. Margaret Clay Hambrook, secretary of the Greenbrier Historical Society, grew up in Greenbrier County in the 1950s and 1960s and heard rumors about the bunker at school. I remember thinking, okay, that's great for them, but if a nuclear bomb explodes on top of the bunker, all of us here are toast, she says. Local parents were quick to warn their children against loose talk. Bell's father ran the Greenbrier Valley Airport a few miles from the resort. The airport was extended when the bunker was built using dirt dug from the enormous foundation hole. Bell's father had a government security clearance, which he took very seriously. One day during construction, Bell's brother, who was 8 or 9 at the time, was riding bikes with his friends around the building site. They spotted a fancy new elevator being put in and their eyes widened. One of the construction workers noted their excited faces and offered them an elevator ride. The boys were thrilled. At dinner that night, my brother was telling us that my father was horrified, Bell recalls. Finally, he said, "This is top secret. You should call your friends in and I'll give them the same lecture I'm giving you. This must never be mentioned." Robert, Robert Conti has spent some 4 decades as the Greenbrier's official historian, arriving at the resort in 1978. He immediately sensed that something was off about the West Virginia wing. When I got there reading about it, I remember thinking, why did it take them 3 years to build a 3-story building, he says. The whole thing seemed odd. Conti became friends with Fritz Bugas, manager of Forsyth Associates, the audiovisual company that serviced the resort's televisions. It was strange, Conti thought, that while all other Greenbrier workers, from electricians to cooks to plumbers, were employees, the Forsyth staff were contractors. He was right to be suspicious. Forsyth was a dummy company, and the workers' real job was maintaining the bunker over the years. And then it talks about Ted Gupp blowing the whistle on the Greenbrier. Gupp had received an anonymous tip about the bunker and was looking for answers. One of the most remarkable moments of my life was Gupp coming and putting a tape recorder on my desk and saying, "I'm here to talk about what's under the West Virginia wing," Conti says. Conti, who still didn't know the truth himself, gave Gupp the official line. Rumors had always circulated about the Greenbrier, but they were just that, rumors. Of course, Gupp didn't believe a word I said, Conti recalls laughing. The Washington Times scooped the Post, publishing a story about the bunker on May 29th, 1992. Gupp's expose appeared 2 days later in the Post magazine. The Greenbrier was different in that it relied more on the element of secrecy than on any mountain of rock to shield it from incoming bombs, Gupp wrote. Yet despite the discretion of the resort staff, the existence of some kind of hidden government installation there was widely known. When the truth came out, few people in the area were surprised at the bunker's existence, Conti says, but they were surprised to discover that it was intended for Congress. Most had believed it was for the president. John F. Kennedy, for his part, had 2 bunkers, one on the island of Nantucket in Massachusetts near the Kennedy compound, and the other on Peanut Island, close to the president's vacation home in Palm Beach, Florida. This had given the Greenbrier convenient cover over the years. Staff could simply deny that the resort was a home to a secret presidential facility. That was a secret within a secret, Conti says. Nobody thought it was for 1,100 people. That was a real jaw dropper. Many locals were angry, even furious with Gup and the Post. It was a point of pride to have it there, to have that little bit of mystery that no one else in the country knew about, says Trish. And then when someone who they considered an outsider came in and revealed it, they felt very betrayed. In a statement, congressional leadership expressed regret at the Post's decision to publish the piece. It was always clear that if the secret of the facility's location were to be compromised, the effectiveness and security of the program would be jeopardized, if not terminated, the leader said. The anonymous tipster, who first alerted Gup to the bunker's existence, has never been publicly identified, but Conti understands them to be a person in the federal government who didn't like that money was being spent to maintain a nuclear bunker in the post-Civil War era. When the story came out, politicians did indeed come under fire, not only for spending taxpayer dollars on an outmoded bunker, but also for the very idea of saving Congress while ordinary citizens were left out in the cold. Declassified shortly after the expose, the bunker opened for tours in 1995. The first people to tour were Greenbrier employees who received the opportunity as a quiet thank you for their discretion. More than 30 years later, tours of the site, now overseen by the Greenbrier's owners rather than the government, remain incredibly popular with the public. When Trish leads tours, one of the most frequently asked questions is whether more remains hidden: a new bunker, a deeper room, something yet unrevealed. It would be lovely if there was, she says, a little mystery, but there's not. And then source 4 is greenbrierwestvirginia.com. It just is a summary of the tours, prices, that kind of stuff. So I was going to include that in case you're ever over in the area. I would like to go back and visit one day and go and tour the facility. So it says the tour covers details of the facility's clandestine construction, including secret communications between the U.S. government and Greenbrier executives. You'll learn about the cover company Forsyth Associates, a TV repair business operated by Pentagon experts poised to take command in the event of a nuclear attack. Astonishingly, the bunker was outfitted and prepared for activation at a moment's notice. Everything from food, clothing, medical care, and outside communications were kept at the ready from 1961 until 1992. Your tour guide explains how all this was accomplished. During the tour, you also have an opportunity to peruse a museum of artifacts left over from the active site. The bunk rooms lined with metal framed bunk beds are a shocking departure from the luxurious suite 60 feet above. It's unsettling and amazing all at once. Gup may have put it best in the last line of his story that ran in the Washington Post on Sunday, May 31st, 1992. For 30 years, the Greenbriers guests have come to play golf, to be massaged, to bathe in the restorative waters of the mineral baths, while some of the men who repaired their televisions and brought them movies made all things ready for a darker world after this world. The bunker tours. To learn the rest of the story and believe us, you'll want to reserve your spot on the tour. Tickets are $47 for adults and $24 for youth 10 through 18. Keep in mind the minimum age is 10. Before I end today's episode, I just wanted to announce that this episode inspired me to do a set of special episodes covering West Virginia. So stay tuned for that. I am between jobs and college starts again soon, but I will be working on those episodes soon to commemorate my time in Appalachia. So look forward to those specials. I'm planning on having a guest for one of them because I'm going to tie the West Virginia cryptids into Fallout 76, which is a video game based in West Virginia. So I'm thinking about doing that. So just stay tuned for those specials. Those will probably be my next episodes. But like I just said, I'm in between jobs. I'm trying to find employment right now. And my college classes, my summer classes literally start tomorrow. So subscribe and just be patient with me. For the time being, I'm going to start working on those, doing researching, compiling, doing interviews, all that. So I just wanted to announce that just to have something to look forward to. Um, and in the show notes, I'm going to post a YouTube video of a tour of the bunker, just like a brief video. It's nothing long. So if you want to check that out, go ahead. I thought this was interesting. I thought it was a very interesting topic. Um, like I said, I'd like to go back over that way, out to the east and be able to see the bunker, and explore more West Virginia that I really didn't get to before. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Ghosts, Demons, and Murder. Oh my. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you can get all the updates, information, and content that will be uploaded. Thank you for the support and for listening to my podcast. As always, I can be reached via email at haydencrook8@gmail.com. Thank you.